When you spend your whole heart trying to keep someone by your side, yet they still walk away, something inside you breaks. You start to think, maybe I'm not worthy, maybe I'm not enough. You change your habits, your appearance, even your values, all in the hope that if you love enough, if you give enough, that person will finally choose you. But still, they leave. And in the silence that follows, a deeper question appears. Who am I when no one stays? From a young age, many are taught a dangerous idea that love is a missing half and that you are incomplete until someone else comes to complete you. You are told, when you find the right person, then you will feel happy, then you will feel whole. And without noticing it, you begin to live as a beggar of affection. You bend, you shrink, you lose yourself, all for a smile, a reply, a small gesture that tells you, you matter. But listen carefully. If your worth depends on someone's presence, you have already handed them your soul. Carl Jung tried to awaken this truth in the language of psychology, and spiritual wisdom has echoed it for centuries. If you do not know your value, you will repeatedly enter relationships that confirm your sense of worthlessness. You will unconsciously attract situations that mirror your inner emptiness. You will ask from others what you have never learned to give yourself: love, respect, kindness, and protection. And until you learn to love yourself with dignity, with boundaries, with courage, you will always feel at the mercy of someone else's choice. In this message, David Yongi Cho invites you to look deeper, not just at the partners you have chosen, but at the energy, the beliefs, and the wounds that have silently guided those choices. When you start to love yourself enough, not as a slogan, but as a daily decision, you will begin to attract a very different kind of love. Not a love born from fear of loneliness, but a love rooted in freedom, peace, and spiritual wholeness. Stay until the end. The love you are looking for may not be found in someone's arms, but in the awakening of your own heart and in the God who has loved you from the beginning. Love born from need is not love. Many people say, I want love, but what they actually seek is anesthesia for pain. They are not pursuing a relationship. They are running away from their own wound. They say, I just want someone sincere, someone stable, someone who truly cares. Yet, when you examine their history, you often see a repeated pattern. Relationships that create anxiety, insecurity, and emotional dependence. Relationships where peace is the exception and fear is the norm. How many times have you found yourself in this pattern? You meet someone, you pour everything out, you become flexible to a fault, you tolerate what hurts you, and then when everything collapses, you promise next time will be different. But the next person appears, and without noticing it, the story repeats. The same imbalance, the same chasing, the same fear of being abandoned. That is not a curse, and it is not random. It is a wound asking to be healed. Jung explained that you do not attract what you say you want. You attract what you are at the deepest level of your consciousness. Deep inside, behind your words, and even behind your prayers, live your buried fears, old traumas, and limiting beliefs. If in that hidden place you believe, I am not worthy of full love, or I must fight to be chosen, then your relationships will echo that belief. And here, spiritual wisdom and psychology meet. As long as you see yourself as broken and unworthy, you will seek people who confirm that narrative. Imagine, for example, a woman who again and again falls in love with emotionally distant men. She tells herself, this time I will choose better. But she chooses the same kind of heart in a different body. Why? Because her unconscious program says, I must win love. I must prove myself. So she isn't simply loving, she is campaigning for approval. And anyone who activates that script instantly feels like chemistry or destiny. But it is not destiny. It is an old wound in new packaging. This is not real love. It is emotional bargaining. You give affection to avoid your own emptiness. You cling to a person so you don't have to sit in silence with yourself. You seek their messages so you won't have to hear the cry of your own soul. Love that begins in lack becomes a contract written in fear. I will do anything, just don't leave me. That is why it cannot bring you peace. It is built on sand. Ask yourself honestly, when you fall in love, do you feel more yourself or less? Do you grow or do you disappear? Do you become calm or more afraid? If love constantly forces you to betray your own needs, to silence your feelings, to accept what you know wounds you, then you are not loving as a free person. You are worshiping another human being as if they were your savior. And hear this clearly. No human being can carry the weight of being your savior. Jung described this fusion with our wound as identification with the complex. Spiritually, it is as if you wear your past like a pair of glasses and then insist the whole world looks that way. Instead of taking those glasses off and healing, you search for someone to make you forget they exist. You ask, love me enough so I no longer feel this pain. But no amount of external love can permanently erase an internal wound that you refuse to face. Love born from need is like building a house beside the sea without a foundation. On calm days, it looks beautiful, but the first storm reveals the truth. One argument, one delay in response, one sign of distance, and you break down. Why? Because that relationship does not rest on your inner strength. It rests on their attention. They become the keeper of your emotional keys. If they stay, you breathe. If they leave, you collapse. This is not love. It is addiction. And just like any addiction, it feels intense, obsessive, sometimes even spiritual. but you know it by its fruit: anxiety, jealousy, exhaustion, humiliation. Until you are willing to look this false love in the eye and call it what it is, you will go from person to person, hoping that someone will finally do the work you have been avoiding, giving yourself the love and respect you seek. Imagine a man who has just gone through a painful breakup. Instead of allowing the grief to mature him, he refuses to be alone with his thoughts. He opens apps, jumps into conversations, flirts, plans dates. From the outside, it looks like he has moved on. In truth, he is not moving forward. He is running in circles. He meets people who are also running from themselves, and together they create relationships of fear, hurry, and confusion. He ends up wounded again and says, "Love always hurts." But it is not love that hurts him. It is the way he approaches love. The reality is simple but hard. You cannot attract a peaceful love from a stormy heart. The energy you bring into your relationships is the energy that comes back to you. If you are full of fear and emptiness, you will confuse intensity with love. If you are full of anxiety, you will mistake chaos for passion. To transform the love you receive, you must first transform the love you give yourself. Projection. When you see yourself in others, Jung once said that one of the greatest works you can do is to withdraw your projections from other people. What does that mean in daily life? It means that often you are not seeing others as they truly are. You are seeing your own wounds, fears, and longings reflected back to you. Love in this sense is not just an emotion, but a mirror. It shows you where you have healed and where you are still broken. Think of how many meetings in your life have felt like fate. You meet someone randomly, and yet your heart says, "I've known this person forever." You attribute that feeling to destiny, to coincidence, to luck. But a deeper wisdom teaches that important encounters are rarely accidents. They are responses to what your inner world is silently asking for. Jung called this deeper level the collective unconscious, a realm filled with archetypes, primordial images that shape how you perceive yourself and others. In the context of love, two powerful archetypes are the anima and the animus, the inner feminine in a man and the inner masculine in a woman. These inner images mold your sense of what the ideal partner looks like. When you meet someone who seems to resemble that inner figure, the attraction feels mystical, overwhelming. It feels as if an invisible thread has tied your story to theirs. You say, "We are meant to be." But very often, what you call destiny is actually recognition. Your unconscious recognizes in that person the exact traits that awaken parts of you that have been sleeping. Sometimes these are beautiful parts: tenderness, creativity, courage. Other times they are painful: insecurity, fear of abandonment, obsession. On a spiritual level, it is as if life, under God's watchful eye, uses relationships as classrooms. People appear not just to make you happy, but to make you aware. The one who ignores you awakens the old child in you who never felt seen. The one who betrays you awakens the old story that says you can't trust anyone. The one who loves you well awakens the forgotten truth that you are worthy. Through each person, your inner world is revealed. The danger is that you start loving not the real person, but your own projection. You fall in love with the image you've created in your mind. You ignore red flags, twist words, justify hurtful actions, all because you are defending not them, but the dream you've built around them. And when reality finally breaks through that dream, the disappointment feels brutal. When love is lived through projection, it is unstable. At first, everything seems perfect. We think the same, we feel the same, we were made for each other. Over time, as the projection weakens, you begin to see their flaws, limitations, and humanity. Instead of adjusting your expectations, you often feel deceived. You changed. In many cases, they did not change. Your projection did. So you end the relationship or emotionally withdraw and say, I just chose the wrong person again. Then, without healing the projection, you move on and repeat the same pattern with someone new. The actors change, but the script remains the same. Psychology calls it projection. Spirituality calls it blindness of the heart. You are not seeing with clarity because your unhealed parts are coloring everything. Yet, despite the pain, these encounters are not meaningless. They are invitations to see yourself more clearly, to invite God's healing light into areas you have avoided. The question is not, why did I meet this person? But what part of me has this person come to reveal? When you shift that question, relationships stop being pure drama and start becoming pathways to growth. The energy of lack. There is a kind of silence that speaks louder than words. A gaze that lingers too long. A message sent just to check, but really born from fear. You might tell yourself, I'm just caring, I'm just attentive, yet the other person feels something heavy behind your actions. You may never say, please don't leave me, but your energy screams it. Psychology calls this anxious attachment, a constant fear that love will disappear if you don't hold on to it tightly. Jung would call it an unintegrated shadow, a part of your inner self that you haven't accepted and healed, now trying to control others so it doesn't have to feel its own pain. Spiritually, it is a heart that has placed its security in another human being instead of in God and in the stable knowledge of its own value. Ask yourself, how often have you felt your chest tighten when a message takes too long to arrive? How often have you secretly watched someone's online activity, stories, or post to decode what they might be thinking about you? How many nights have you pretended to be calm while inside you were drowning in questions? Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? Am I not enough? This constant internal noise is not love. It is bondage. People do not move away from you because you are not attractive or intelligent or interesting. They move away because they feel the invisible weight of your expectations. Without meaning to, you silently ask them to carry your insecurities, to soothe every fear, to prove your worth through their affection. No human being can sustain that role forever. Eventually, something in them pulls back to breathe. Jung said, where there is desire, there is bondage. In this context, desire is not healthy attraction. It is the desperate need for someone to complete you. When your need is this intense, there is no room for free love, only for negotiation. If you stay, I am okay. If you leave, I fall apart. That is not how souls created for freedom were meant to live. The difference between healthy love and obsessive love is simple. In healthy love, you can say, I want you, but I can still be myself without you. In obsessive love, the inner voice cries, without you, I am nothing. One flows from fullness, the other from emptiness. One allows both people to breathe, the other suffocates both. The difficult part is that this energy of lack often hides under beautiful behaviors. You may be very caring, very helpful, very attentive. On the surface, everything looks generous. But beneath that generosity, there may be a hidden cry. Please choose me. Please don't leave. And that frequency is felt, even if no one can put it into words. Look at people who attract others without constant effort. They are not necessarily the most beautiful or talented, but they are at peace with themselves. They are not begging for attention. They are present, grounded, and authentic. That silent confidence is magnetic. It says, I value myself and I am not here to be rescued. That energy draws in healthier love than any game, strategy, or disguise. If you sense that your relationships are marked by this energy of lack, do not condemn yourself. Instead, take it as a holy invitation to deeper healing. Before asking, why are they changing? Ask, from what energy am I loving? Is it from fear or from freedom? From panic or from peace? From self-rejection or from self-acceptance? The moment you dare to answer honestly is the moment your transformation can begin. Individuation, the journey back to your true self. Jung called the process of becoming fully yourself individuation. Spiritually, it is astonishingly close to the idea of discovering the person God intended you to be before fear, pain, and culture taught you to be someone else. It is not a path of isolation, but a path of integration where all your fragmented parts are gathered, accepted, and transformed. Why do you keep choosing people who cannot love you well and then exhaust yourself trying to change them? Because some part of you still believes, if I can make this person stay, it will prove that I am finally worthy. That is not love. That is a wounded child trying to rewrite their past. Until you recognize that pattern, you will keep finding partners who echo your childhood pain. Individuation is not about saying, I don't need anyone, or closing your heart forever. It is about learning to stand on your own spiritual and emotional feet. It means asking, who am I beyond other people's expectations? What do I truly value? What do I believe about myself, about love, about God? Which unhealed wounds are steering my choices? Think of someone who grew up in emotional neglect. Their parents may not have been cruel, but they were unavailable, too busy, too distracted, too wounded themselves. The child learned, my feelings are a burden. To be loved, I must be easy, quiet, compliant. As an adult, that person overgives in relationships, apologizes constantly, avoids conflicts, and swallows their pain. They think, if I am good enough, no one will leave. But people still leave, not because this person is unlovable, but because their energy says, I don't love myself. I am here to be chosen, not to choose. That false self, the one who exists only to please and avoid abandonment, cannot build healthy love. It can only build transactions. I will give everything. You, in return, must stay. Individuation calls you out of that false self. It invites you to reclaim your voice, to honor your boundaries, to believe that your needs are not weaknesses, but part of your God-given humanity. Jung observed that until you look inward, you cannot truly see outward. Spiritually, this means that if you do not know who you are in the eyes of God, if you have not embraced your own story with compassion, you will keep using others as mirrors to get a sense of identity. You will ask them to define you, validate you, and rescue you. That weight eventually breaks every relationship. The path of individuation is not easy. It will ask you to sit with loneliness, to listen to painful memories, to question old beliefs like I'm not enough or I always ruin relationships. It will require humility to say, I have been blaming others, but I also need to take responsibility for how I show up in love. It is like stripping away armor piece by piece until you stand naked in front of your own soul and before God, saying, here I am as I truly am. But what waits on the other side is precious. As you learn to accept your light and your shadow, your strengths and your weaknesses, your past mistakes and your present potential, a new kind of love becomes possible. You stop entering relationships as a beggar and start entering as a whole person. You no longer say, love me so I can feel valuable. You say, I know I am valuable, so I choose to share my life with you. True love between two individuated people is not a desperate fusion or a constant test. It is companionship. Two souls walking together, aware of their wounds, but not ruled by them. Neither demands that the other fill an inner void. Instead, both bring their fullness and share it. They help each other grow, not because they are responsible for healing each other's past, but because they support each other's present journey. In a world where many love from fear, individuation is revolutionary. It is choosing to build your life not on emotional dependency, but on inner truth, spiritual depth, and self-respect. It changes not only how you love, but who you attract and what you tolerate. The more you become yourself, the less space there is for counterfeit love. From chaser to attractor. No one on this earth, no matter how loving or spiritual, can make you feel whole if you have decided you are broken. You can meet kind people. You can receive affection. You can even enter a healthy relationship. But if you have not changed your inner belief, you will sabotage and reject that love. That is why the journey from chasing love to attracting love begins inside, not outside. Jung was not a soft comforter. He knew that real healing does not come from temporarily forgetting your pain, but from walking through it with open eyes. Likewise, spiritual growth does not come from denying your wounds, but by bringing them into the light of God's truth and mercy. To heal from emotional dependency, you must dare what many avoid: staying with yourself, awake and honest, without immediately distracting your heart. There are practical steps you can begin today. The first is to examine your current or recent relationships with radical sincerity. Ask yourself, in this relationship, am I always the one initiating contact? Am I the one apologizing first, even when my heart knows I am being unfairly treated? Do I silence my real feelings to avoid arguments or rejection? If the answer is yes, then you have been abandoning yourself in the name of love. Make a new commitment. Pause all actions driven purely by fear of losing someone. That means resisting the urge to send that panicked message just to feel secure. It means not checking repeatedly if they are online or active. It means allowing space instead of rushing to fix every small conflict. Trust that a person who truly values you will show it without constant prompting. Your worth is not proven by who replies quickly. It is proven by how firmly you stand in your own dignity. The second step is to practice intentional solitude. There is a loneliness that destroys and a solitude that heals. The first is passive. You sit with your phone, scroll endlessly, wait desperately for some notification to numb the ache. The second is chosen. You create quiet moments to listen, not to others, but to your own soul and to God's whisper in it. Begin by journaling your emotions each day. Write honestly without editing. Your fears, your anger, your confusion, your hopes. As you write, your unconscious begins to reveal itself. Patterns emerge. Lies you have believed for years become visible. Tears may come. Let them. They are not weakness, they are cleansing. Then, set aside moments of pure stillness. No music, no screens, no distractions. Sit with your emptiness. Instead of escaping it, ask it, what are you trying to show me? Very often in that quiet, you will start to hear memories, phrases from your childhood, moments of deep hurt that you have buried. These are not there to torment you, but to be healed. The third step is to nurture your inner world deliberately. Many people pour enormous energy into pleasing others, looking perfect, and adjusting to every new partner. Imagine what would happen if that same energy were invested in your own growth. Care for your body with gentleness, rest, nourish yourself, move. When your physical state improves, your emotional resilience grows. You are less likely to cling out of pure exhaustion. Cultivate creativity and joy through simple actions, reading meaningful books, learning a skill, creating with your hands, serving others from a place of freedom, not obligation. These actions awaken the sense that your life has value beyond romance. They whisper to your heart, you are more than who loves you. You have something to offer this world. Little by little, as you choose solitude with purpose, as you train your mind to challenge beliefs like, I am nothing without a partner, as you reconnect with the truth that you are loved by God and capable of loving yourself, your inner posture changes. You move from chasing to receiving, from begging to inviting. You no longer search frantically for love. You become a person who radiates love. The kind of love that comes when you love yourself. When you stop living from lack, everything about your relationships shifts. Your energy no longer cries, please complete me. Instead, it calmly says, I am whole and I am open to share. You no longer cling, you connect. You no longer demand, you invite. You no longer suffocate love, you allow it to breathe. Jung spoke of wholeness as the integration of opposites. Spiritually, true wholeness is not perfection. It is harmony between your different parts, mind, heart, body, and spirit, under the awareness that you are unconditionally loved by your Creator. From there, a new pattern of attraction begins. People who prey on insecurity no longer find easy access to you. Those who need someone to control are no longer comfortable in your presence. Why? Because your boundaries and self-respect quietly say, this soul is not available for abuse. Instead, you start to draw in people who resonate with your new frequency. People who are also working on themselves, who are not afraid of honesty, who do not need to play games to feel powerful. Around you, they feel free to be themselves because you are not pulling them into a role of healer, savior, or constant validator. You no longer ask, prove that I am enough. You already know you are enough. So you can enjoy who they are without turning them into a crutch. You become more decisive in love. You see red flags earlier. You are no longer seduced by intensity that masks instability. Your choice is mature. You can say, this person is attractive, but their energy does not align with my peace, and walk away without collapsing. Opportunities, emotional, relational, even professional, begin to align more truly with your values because you are no longer acting from desperation. When two people who have learned to love themselves meet, the relationship feels different. There may still be conflict, differences, and challenges, but there is no constant undercurrent of terror. Neither person is trying to fill up a bottomless hole with the other's affection. They choose each other, not because they cannot live alone, but because they desire to share their already meaningful lives. In such a love, you do not cling out of fear of loss. You choose day by day to stay, to communicate, to grow together. And if one day the path separates, you feel pain, yes, but not total destruction. Because your identity is not built on that connection alone. You know, deep down, I existed before this relationship, and I will continue to exist after it. My worth was never at stake. This is the kind of love that becomes possible when you dare to walk the inner journey. When you confront your wounds, when you break the pattern of emotional addiction, when you stop begging and start standing. And beyond all human love, there is a greater truth. Long before any person said, I love you, there was a voice that spoke your name with eternal tenderness. When you root your worth in that voice, in that divine love, no rejection on earth can define you again. Thank you for walking through this reflection. The relationship you long for is not hidden in someone else's heart. It is waiting in the transformation of your own. Each day you choose to pause, to look inward, to honor your soul, to seek God's guidance instead of chasing human approval. You are changing the energy you send into the world, and life over time responds. True love does not come when you try harder to be chosen. It comes when you finally choose yourself. When you stop performing for affection and start living as who you truly are. No controlling, no clinging, no begging, just a steady, grounded presence. In the end, no one really falls in love. They fall into a deeper awareness of themselves and of the one who loved them first. And from that place of inner fullness, if love arrives, it will not be to complete you, but to accompany you.